Yes, it is time. Yes, it is time. Let's see how Grandpa Buff feels about the most recent attempt. Shall we? I have a feeling he's going to have words. Let's fucking go.
So then, the guy says, "Are you American?" It was about that time I realized it's time to go on a diet. What in the hell was that?
The fuck?
Ireland! Hey, that wasn't me, it was the part that you own. You black and tans. What was that? Usually when stuff explodes, I'm involved. It appears it was a car bomb outside of a police station in Northern Ireland.
What the fuck? Okay, when the fuck did this, I didn't hear about this. When the fuck did this happen? UK strays, why was I not informed that a fucking car bomb went off outside a police station? What the fuck? When did this happen? Oh, fuck the spoilers, I wanna know! You didn't know? Okay, this is kind of a little fucked up when even the UK strays didn't know that it happened. Okay. I have multiple people in the UK telling me right now they're in the UK and even they didn't know. Okay, I am now intrigued. What the hell happened here?
Shot.
No, Buff. It's bomb, Jaeger, bomb. I had to throw that little last part in so the AI is not going to go fuck with me. Yeah, like I get the enthusiasm, Buff, but you're using the wrong verb here, okay, or adjective as the case might be.
Shot, everybody!
It was homemade, with a propane tank of some sort. Luckily, no one was seriously injured, but that's not okay. This is a terrible precedent.
First time?
What year is it? Did we go through a wormhole? Like, serious, Irish car bombs? What? It all happened because of that fucking gorilla.
Oh, he did it. Ever since Harambe. Why? Look at what you did to us.
We don't know if it was part of the IRA, but it does match our MO.
Ah, man, Irish car bombs. Ah, that takes me back. That's an interesting point in history. The cocaine was good. Women were, I don't know, they were treated probably worse than they are now. I didn't really have a joke for that one. Let's go to Bosnia and Kosovo again, and then we'll go fight fucking Somalia, and then for all time...
No, okay, whoa, boss. Dial it back. Roll it back. Let's go fight Somalia and prevent what happened. Let's go fight Somalia and do it right this time so we don't get what we currently have in modern-day America, specifically in Minnesota, California, and every other communist state in the nation. Okay, we need to make that very haughty clear. Let's go fight Somalia again, but this time we do it right.
Let's invade Iraq.
Man, I really do be constantly at war. I mean, speaking of
conflicts,
we've decided to throw $213 million at some of the targeting and weapon systems on my Zumwalt-class destroyers. I thought you'd given up on those things. Seriously, aren't they just a money pit? Yeah, kind of. But here's the thing. Like, they weren't what we were expecting, and they weren't as good as what we wanted. But then we did an analysis compared to what everyone else has, and we realized we're still leaps and bounds ahead, so... You know, you play the cards you're dealt. Yeah, meanwhile, I just get told to go fucking fish over and over. It's all right, Raptor dude. You just play what you can, man.
The problem is the kid hasn't gotten a chance to play with anything or anyone, and no, Franklin doesn't count. See, that line only works on if he actually had cards to play. But as of right now, the kid has not been given a single fucking hand to play. You're only teasing the poor kid, and you tease him long enough, he's gonna glass a whole fucking country.
Play a whole lot of Duck Duck Terrorist.
I'm a personal fan of Pop Goes the Jihadi.
I play a lot of hide in your armored vehicles, you're just gonna die in a confined space.
You, couldn't think of a...
Of course I couldn't think of a pun for a board game. I'm a murder bird. So what exactly do these upgrades entail? I don't know. Ray Ray got the contract. Ray, what are you putting in there? Stuff? It's classified. Okay, very good. My official answer is stuff. Like a toddler with a credit card, I swear.
Well, toddler with a credit card and a pigeon from later. Very good combination, would you not agree?
And Germany is making some strides in technology, yeah. We are starting to try and figure out ways that we are not dependent on other countries' energy infrastructure. So we have one company that has designed solar-powered roof tiles so that they maintain 95% of their power, and they can look like any regular roof tiles.
Those already exist. Like, Elon already has that. What the hell's his solar power company? Or it's Tesla. That's right, it's Tesla. Where's my break? Elon Musk has already done that with Tesla. Maybe they're better. Well, it could be. It did say it retains 95% of their power. I don't know. I don't know what Tesla's power retention is. For their solar roofs. I do vaguely remember seeing like a Marquise Brownlee thing where he basically had is it 95? Is it? Oh, you're calling cap on 95. I mean, it could be. I mean, I'm guessing this is only in the testing phases now, so it's basically just speculative at this point. Probably no actual hard data to actually substantiate a 95% retention rate. I want to say, Elon, I want to say the Tesla roof tiles are... Is it a 75% retention rate? I don't recall. Like I said, I saw a thing from Marquise Brownlee like a long time ago where he actually did a test run. He had his home basically done with the, full blown with the Tesla solar tiles, sitting at 6 and 70%. Okay, that's what I thought. And like, yeah, he had his house done up, and like during the summertime where the sun was in the sky higher, it actually made a very big difference. I think during like the summer months, he was basically using like 100% of the solar power. He did not need to basically use any because usually it's see if I remember the numbers correctly. In the summertime, the Tesla solar cells basically were able to facilitate 100% electrical 100% electrical supply from the solar, and I think there was actually a net return on the electrical grid. So not only was he able to power his home and everything in it, he was actually able to do a net return to his electrical company, and was actually able to basically do a rebate to from his electrical company. And then during the cooler months, like autumn and winter seasons in California, mind you, like he had to tap much more into the electrical grid because the sun wasn't high enough to basically charge the Tesla batteries from solar energy. But during the summer months, it was like 100% solar power to just run his entire household, to include charging his Tesla car as well. So it's like, there's potential there. Is Germany's going to be able to achieve the same thing? I don't know. But like, seriously, like Elon Musk already has this down with Tesla. The German ones are actually tested 25% cell efficiency to compare it to Tesla's 20%. Okay, so the German cells are supposedly 5% more efficient. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'd be kind of curious to see what they can do with further testing on it to see how much more efficient they may be, because a 5% increase in salt efficiency is pretty decent in this respect. So, okay, pretty interesting. And Uncle and Clown, thank you both for the gifted. Thank you very much.
They are completely interchangeable, ja. Und we are also putting underwater turbines in the Rhine. Clean energy. Germany, what happened to you? You used to be a proper country. Burning oil
Stop.
and coal.
And lots of Jews.
Shut the fuck
Oh my
up.
God.
Yeah, and I mean, well, I'm going a little clean. We're going to be starting to use these magical radioactive rocks to boil water and turn turbines. Yes, I see many of your restrictions on nuclear power have been rescinded.
Good.
It's incredibly
Fucking good.
dangerous, America.
Oh, it's not. Oh, my sweet fuck. And I know HOC is just basically parroting stuff that he hears on the internet to use for UK, but holy fuck, nuclear is not that fucking dangerous. Oh my God, fucking take the hippies in the balls, please. There's, nuclear energy is actually legit safer than coal and regular energy. As a planet, we need to start moving more towards fucking nuclear. We really fucking do. It is perfectly safe. It is clean. It's one of the cleanest forms of energy in the history of humanity. And contrary to popular opinion, the chance of a nuclear reactor basically melting down is microscopically small. It's only if you don't actually build in the proper safeguards or proper infrastructure for the nuclear reactor to be stable and to have redundancies upon redundancies. That's when you get, I don't know, fucking Chernobyl or 3 Mile fucking Island. Even Fukushima, the only reason what happened with Fukushima is because they had a literal record-breaking tsunami slap the fuck out of the reactor, which is what caused it to melt down, because they never actually experienced a tsunami or no, you're right. Fukushima didn't melt down. The infrastructure just got cracked. It was I'm mixing up Fukushima and 3 Mile Island. It's but the only reason why Fukushima the infrastructure cracked is because they experienced a tsunami that they had never knew about before. They had it and ahead of time, etc., etc., etc. But by and large, nuclear power is the safest, cleanest energy in human history. We need to basically, all these hippies that are going, oh, nuclear energy is dangerous, kick them in the fucking balls and tell them to sit down, shut the fuck up, the adults are talking here. Because it's safe, it's clean, and it would actually alleviate a lot of the energy issues that pretty much most of fucking humanity has had. God damn it. I hate people that are so against nuclear energy because they saw fucking Hollywood. They basically, the majority of people against nuclear energy literally got all of their education about nuclear energy from fucking Hollywood. And I wouldn't trust Hollywood not to eat a bunch of fucking crayons. I trust Marines more with crayons than I do Hollywood. And yes, and I'm not, of course, and that, of course, is before I even get into the oil and coal industries, running propaganda smear campaigns against nuclear because they want to keep their billions and trillions of dollars. Yes, I'm very aware of that. I'm not even going to get into that because we'll be here all goddamn day about it. Basically, anybody that is against nuclear energy is against nuclear energy because the alternative makes them a fuck ton of money, and they don't want to give up said fuck ton of money. End of goddamn story.
It's really not. 3 Mile Island was cleaned up and no issue. The Fukushima disaster, I mean, that was caused by really a fucking tsunami, but theirs is all cleaned up. The only time that it has ended in like irreversible damage is when arguably the dumbest people on the planet pieced one together and didn't follow any safety protocols, didn't do anything correctly, and bypassed everything that you're supposed to do to make sure that the shit doesn't happen.
And when they built their reactors, they did it as cheap as fucking possible. So there was a intrinsic design flaw in the reactors themselves that nobody fucking was told about. And so they didn't know that the design flaw resulted in their emergency protocols turning the nuclear reactor into a fucking bomb, which we all learned from Chernobyl. There was some no. You misunderstand. The higher-ups knew. They didn't tell the people actually working in the fucking buildings about it. That's what I'm talking about. Like, granted, I showed Chernobyl in movie night. Granted, artistic license was taken. We all know that. But the core facts of it were that the control rods in every fucking one of their reactors had graphite tips. Graphite tips actually lead to basically increasing reactivity. And if there is a problem with the mechanics of the control rods, the graphite tips can turn the reactor into a fucking bomb, which is exactly what happened with Chernobyl. And Russia was the only country on the fucking planet that was still using graphite tips with their control rods, knowing about this massive fucking design flaw, which resulted in the nuclear disaster. And supposedly, again, we have no substantive data to confirm this. Supposedly, Russia finished retrofitting their nuclear reactors to account for this issue, within the last 10, 15 years? But again, we don't even fucking know if they did it right because they said, oh yeah, we retrofitted them, but we don't fucking know if they actually did. So it's like using Russia as your goalpost for why nuclear reactors are bad basically just highlights the fact that you're a fucking idiot. End of story.
How does that American song go? Is this song about us?
Sweeney, what do you think Slavic special? God damn it, he's gonna make me say it. Had to be done. What? You didn't hear me? It was...
Okay. Do you hear me now? Do you hear me now? Because I'm about to fucking rail on him. You hear me now? Good. Yeah. So, yes, the song was about you. So, shut up, Slavic Special Ed.
God damn.
Oh, good job, Russia. You figured it out. Your mother and I are so proud of you. You should go get a
God
cookie.
Damn it.
If you can afford it. Or find somebody to bake it. 'Cause all your guys are dying in Ukraine.
Speaking of Ukraine, I don't know how true this is. I saw the video. I haven't really seen it anywhere else. No one's really reporting on this. I'm unsure about how true this is. However,
okay.
I did see a video of what is reported is a university of Russians that the Russian government was trying to convince them to support the special military operation, so they were going to have a virtual interview with a Russian soldier on the front line. Unfortunately for them, the person on the other end of that line was Ukrainian. And he said some boss-ass shit. I don't think it's boss, but like we told the truth, is that basically you shouldn't be here, and if you decide to enlist and come here, we're going to find you and kill you.
My God, it's like poetry.
Nice.
That's so beautiful. Was that Shakespeare?
America. So we
Oh,
were
fuck.
sent this internal...
Oh, and Hello, Nisa. Hello, Raiders. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. You got us about midway through an HLC React. How was your stream? Hope you had fun. Won't you join us as we watch basically every country on the planet being fucking stupid? You already missed my rant about nuclear energy. I went on probably about a fucking 5 or 10 minute rant about nuclear energy a few minutes ago. You missed it.
Email from this is coming out Italian. I don't know why. From your Pentagon saying that they are going to potentially kick us out of NATO because we do not support your illegal attack on Iran.
Wait. Okay, stupid question. Why bother? Doesn't the US want out of NATO in the first place? It just said, like, the Pentagon sent Spain a letter saying they're going to kick them out of NATO because Spain is objecting to what's happening in Iran. But, like, why bother? Isn't the US is looking to get out of NATO in the first place? Ego? I guess. Congress has to vote on US leaving NATO? I mean, NATO's fucking useless anyway right now.
I mean, it was an option. You can't do that. NATO is a united front, and it's a consensus. So if you want them out...
No, it's not. It's NATO is not a consensus. NATO basically kind of just does whatever the fuck it thinks the EU wants, and at the same time, they're every time they send in troops in there, they're usually abusing the children of these foreign nations that they send their troops into. So it's like, let's be real here. NATO is only give the fuck about basically the EU. They give a fuck about nothing else. And that's kind of like, granted, America will probably like boss them around or something. Yeah, most of NATO is against the operation of Iran because they're a bunch of pussies and they don't want to commit any troops or any armaments to the effort because they're all basically being invaded by Islam themselves. You have to remember, the majority of the countries that are part of NATO are basically becoming Islamic nations themselves. So of course, when the U.S. basically did the strikes against Iran, of course the rest of NATO is saying, "Oh, we don't like this. We consider it illegal," because they're being taken over by Islam themselves. So of course they're going to call an attack. They're going to call a strike against an Islamic nation illegal because that's what they are now. So basically, your words mean nothing. We've seen the goats that you fuck. Is what it basically fucking boils down to with NATO these days.
You really have no power. Plus,
wait. Okay, I'm willing to hear. Why do you disagree, Rafe? I want to know why do you disagree? What is your thought on that? And no, I'm not like being bitchy or I'm not like trying to do a gotcha. This is only a genuine conversation. I'm curious why you disagree. What your point might be as to what. You represent the USA. They don't have all the expensive to do everything militaries and $1 trillion defense budget. Oh, I'm aware of that. I am very aware of that. Unit's still fighting in Africa. I was there a few years back, really. U.S. wants to kick Spain out of NATO for opposing the Operation Iran. Then wouldn't the U.S. kick out most of the countries? Well, there it is. There kind of is. Yes. It's like NATO. Okay, here's the thing. Here's one of my biggest issues with NATO. Yeah, I'm giving her a moment, and so I'm gonna ramble a little bit as I make my point. Here's one of the thing here. Oh God. Okay. NATO's defensive pact is not to be called on when you start a war. It means a pact between all NATO members that attack on all to deter Russia after World War II. The example you made is soldiers going after kids is the UN. You know what, Wraith, you're right. You're right. I did misconstrue that. I did mix in the UN with NATO. You're absolutely correct about that. I was wrong. I used the wrong the wrong united group for that. So yes, I was wrong about that. Here's the issue I have with NATO is right now the crux of this is like NATO is supposed to be a defensive pact. What legitimately, if the US asked NATO for help, and I'm not referring to Iraq, something happened and the US asks for help, and they ask for help from NATO. What do you think that, granted, I realize that this kind of scenario is next to impossible. Okay, be aware. I'm very aware of this. If today something happened with the US, and the US asked for help from NATO for whatever reason, do you think NATO would actually help the US now? Okay, you guys are all spamming 9/11. I'm not talking about 25 years ago. I'm talking about today. Has received Article 5 support before already? In recent years? I'm talking about in recent years now. It happened before once after 9/11 when the chat's moving so fast now. Hang on. Went in and retooled our entire military support of the Middle East. Okay, that's 9/11. Yeah, we're talking about 9/11. Hey, you think they would if the US was attacked? You really think so? When was the US attacked? No, I'm doing as a hypothetical. I'm not saying the US was attacked. I'm speaking in terms of a hypothetical. Do we think that if the US was attacked and the US asked for help, do we legitimately think that NATO would actually respond to help the US right now? For me, it is a giant fucking question mark leaning a bit towards to no. With the way things currently are in the world right now, I don't think the US could rely on NATO helping the US if the US was attacked and they asked for help. I just the fact that it is a question mark is a fucking problem. Poland and US are good buddies right now. We absolutely would. Sadly, the current administration threatening the sovereign land of European countries, mocking our war, mocking our war dead and starting an unprovoked trade war soured our relationship. It's your sovereign land of European countries. Wait. When did he threaten the sovereign land of European countries? Wait, are we talking about are we talking about, was it Sweden? Greenland. So yeah, it took me a second. Like I mixed those two. Greenland. Okay. Yeah, he's talking about Greenland. But wasn't that the Greenland thing? Wasn't that a whole
EBF,
like
if you're America
lease?
and hold all the cards in the treaty you were begged to be in, you can't be crying when you ignored America to build your defenses and asked to show up.
Baby, the whole tariff thing. I mean, the tariffs is a whole other thing. Greenland does not want to be part of it. Yeah, it's like the Greenland thing is there's fine minutia there too. It's just it's a shit show. And I'm not going to pretend I'm I'm not even going to pretend I'm even anywhere close to being like very smart about, world geopolitics. Okay, I am just a stupid anime girl on Twitch that has a little bit of knowledge. But all I'm seeing is that basically the rest of NATO for a while has, granted, he's not good at global politics. No shit. Let's be honest, Trump is horrible at global politics. Okay, I fully admit he is horrible about horrible with global politics. But it's just NATO it's been a question mark for me for kind of a while. Even when he wasn't in office. And like even when Biden was in office, it's still like a question mark. for NATO, it's just, I just don't freaking know. I think, unfortunately, it might have outlasted its usefulness. Right now, because NATO was back from back from World War II, and NATO was stronger in the 80s. Yeah, in the 80s, 30 fucking years ago. The world has changed dramatically since then, and legitimately, I don't like the reason my question, like, can the NATO countries be, trusted, is a lot of it has to do with who our potential enemy could be. The potential enemy these days for the US, if they would need to call on NATO should they get attacked, realistically, the potential enemy is going to come from Middle Eastern countries. That is right now one of the biggest threats to the United States is Middle Eastern countries, and right now the vast majority of the NATO countries are basically being taken over by those Middle Eastern countries, and I honestly don't know if NATO could be trusted in modern day, given who our potential enemy is likely to be, whether or not they would actually come to help. In Greenland, we were absolutely threatened for no reason. Denmark even sent special forces with blood supplies and explosive for a suicide mission. Take out the airstrips to win time against the U.S. invasion. It may seem funny in American news, but for us who recent history had to suffer, full-scale war at home sale, this is real, it's going to get. Oh, so they actually went to go take out air. Really? Okay. It's again, that one is, the whole thing about I don't want to dig down too in this because we are getting way into the fucking weeds right now. We are getting way farther into the weeds than I initially intended to on this particular topic. It's again, the US is not doing good with geopolitical relations right now. They're not. I will freely admit that. And I have said as much before that basically I've mentioned this before that the way like the US it does hold fault for basically the friction that is happening with US's allies. I fully said that. Like he is like Trump sucks balls with geopolitics with the allies. Okay? I'll make that really fucking clear. The way carte blanche he treats his global allies is fucking horrible. I have freely said that many times before. You guys can say, "Oh, he's just being tough." No, he's being an asshole bully and is basically going full bore instead of he's not being like stern or tough like people want to pretend he's being. He's absolutely being a fucking asshole. And he always has been. And that's one thing that I criticize is the way he conducts his relationships is, it's all about his fucking ego. He just wants to feel like a big Billy badass, wants to be the biggest person in the room, and he treats everyone else that's not him like absolute dog shit. I've said that from the very beginning. It's one of the things that I fucking hate about him. But yeah, it is a shit show. We are getting way the fuck off topic, and we should continue on. So let me just, bottom line, everything with NATO is like fucked right now, kind of like the entire world. So let's continue on because we're way too deep down the weeds to keep up with us.
So if you want them out, you really have no power. Plus, France and Italy have also told you that they're not going to allow you to use their air bases for your attacks on Iran. Yeah, consider giving them the boot too, but I mean, there are other options. You don't have that power. No, but I do have the power of ultimatum, and I can say either he's out or I leave. And do you think the other 31 nations in NATO are going to say, hey, we should totally let the sole nation responsible for the unification and protection of our entire continent leave? Or they're going to say, you know what, Spain? It's been real, it's been fun. But it hasn't been real fun. You're on your own.
Like a
Yeah.
big dick in a locker room, and I've been that guy. Just swinging that fucker
God.
around.
How about instead of threatening your allies, you find a peaceful resolution to the war that you started?
Yeah.
Well, going loud, I mean, you could argue that I started that, but realistically, Iran and I have been kind of in a standoff in a Cold War for a long time. Like the Cold War I had with Russia. Who started that one? Any guesses? Probably not, because neither side actually went loud, so I'm just, putting my best foot forward this time. And we're working on the resolution. We're making progress.
Yeah, but here's the problem. You're not going to come to a resolution. Okay? No matter how much Trump wants to try and pretend like he's going to make this happen, it's not going to happen. He is not going to achieve peace in the Middle East. And as I recall, he's proclaimed that he's achieved peace in the Middle East like 2 or 3 times already since he's been in office. The reality is, it ain't happening. You are until you get some industrialization into that region of the planet, you will never achieve peace in the Middle East. The reason why this will not happen is until you actually introduce secularism to commingle with religion in that region, peace will never fucking happen. That is the crux of it, because right now the Middle East is the reason why there's always war is because they basically operate from a pure religious standpoint with zero secularism whatsoever. So until you basically tamp down the religion by a very wide fucking margin and actually get secularism in there to facilitate industrialization, then there will never be peace in the Middle East. That is what it boils down to. And unless you actually can get, basically governments in there that will basically back off the religious dogma and actually introduce capitalism and secularism, it will never change. Yeah, we have thousands of fucking years of religious violence that have been occurring in this entire region. It ain't changing any time in the near future. Secularism basically is like, to put a fine point on it, it's just like non-religion, basically, capitalism, industrialism, basically not running your lives by a strict religious dogma. It's basically blending religion with reality of how the fucking world works, and that the world does not run on pure religion alone. That is a very, very based and admittedly bad example of secularism. Pretty much like all Western countries. The majority of Western countries and some Eastern countries operate on secularism. The US, Canada, yes, the UK, Japan, South Korea, like religion is there. Religion may be a core tenet of their societies, but it is not the overarching ruling deciding factor of their societies. You also have a blend of religion, capitalism, sometimes, with some aspects of socialism. But with the Middle East, they basically, their entire region is run strictly by Muslim religion and nothing else. And that is why they constantly are at war with one another, even within their own nations, because the tribes can't get along, and so on and so forth. Until you can get secularism injected into the Middle East, you will never get peace. You cannot trust any treaty that is made, particularly with Iran, because Iran literally wants to burn the whole fucking world. That is their mantra, is literally death to the infidels, which is the entirety of the globe that does not believe in the Muslim faith. So no, you're not going to get peace. This entire brokering of a deal is not going to fucking work. Any deal that gets brokered with Iran will be broken inside a fucking week. Because they don't, what was the word I'm looking for? Respect. They had zero respect for the US. They don't. Even after they've basically destroyed their entire navy and they've achieved the air superiority, they've destroyed their entire air force, Iran still has zero respect for the US. So any deal that the US tries to make with it will be done in a week. because they don't care. They still want to kill America. They still want to kill all Western cultures and even some Eastern cultures. So you cannot trust them. Point fucking blank. And so none of it is going to matter.
No, we are not. Look, homie, you can chest beat and tell your fucking peons on Twitter everything you want to say and that how you're so powerful and this has affected nothing. But the fact still remains. Your entire...
They don't even respect military might. You saying that's why they only respect military might? They don't respect that either. Because if they respected the military might, then they would have respected the U.S. Okay? Because the U.S. exerted plenty of military might by sinking their entire Navy, by basically taking out their entire Air Force and having complete air superiority. Okay, so they decided to talk when they had the ceasefire and they instantly broke the fucking ceasefire as soon as it happened. And yeah, they're going to talk to basically stall. Them talking to Trump is literally nothing but a stall tactic. They have no intention of either coming to an agreement, or if they do come to an agreement, they have no intentions of honoring it. That is just point fucking blank.
Military has been circumstantially crippled. Your leadership has been dismantled. And Karg Island, your primary place of exporting, like the majority of your oil, is overflowing to the point that you just revived a oil tanker that hasn't sailed in like 2 or 3 years just because your island is busting at the seams with oil that you can't get out of your country because of my blockade. Wait. So you're telling me that Iran has a refinery and a whole bunch of boats completely full of oil? And if they don't fucking talk with us, dude, I get to send them all to God. Bro, that goes so hard.
I still believe that God killed off the dinosaurs because he realized that I couldn't run off of hopes and dreams.
Now, at this point, when I was reading this, I'm asking, because I didn't know, probably what you're asking, which is, can't they just stop the refinery? And yes, they could. However, when you stop the refinery is designed to be running almost consistently. It can run empty, which usually won't hurt the systems too much. But when you stop the system and you have crude sitting in places, it coagulates kind of like blood, and it'll gum up everything. And you basically have to purge the entire refinery of all the little seals and filters and everything inside there to get it started
ecological
again.
disaster.
So stopping it at this point, way more expensive than just trying to offload the refined oil into...
Well, not even more expensive. Like you guys are saying, the potential ecological disaster would just raises exponentially if you stop the refinery, because if the oil starts to overflow, God help us. If it gets into the ground, or God help us if it gets into the, I don't know where the positioning of, it's on an island. So if the oil backup happens to such a degree that it spills off the island into the ocean, now you have an oceanic ecological disaster. We all remember what happened the last time. Just a simple fucking oil. Leave us not forget about the Exxon issue. Leave us not forget about that burst pipe. The ecological damage that was done by that burst pipe. The burst oil pipe that took like weeks to fucking fix. Yeah, the BP oil pipe. That took weeks to fucking fix, and God only knows what kind of damage that did to the ocean. You definitely want to fucking avoid this kind of shit happening again.
Different ships. And like always, the nation of Iran will figure these things out. We always have and always will, and we will not succumb.
Thank you, Splinkit and Redleg. Thank you for the 5 gifted earlier. I was rolling, so I didn't want to stop and interrupt my rant, but thank you for the 5 earlier, Redleg.
To the pressures of the West.
Russia's mom succumbs to my pressure all the time.
I'm just going to fucking ignore him.
Oh shit, you guys just made a breakthrough in Ukraine.
We did what?
Major luck. Your people are still dying. They should go home.
You shut up your mouth. Not to interrupt your little agreement with Russia, America. I heard that there was a shooting at the press dinner
there we go.
In Washington. Oh shit, really? Hey Franklin, it's time to play your favorite game. Tranny, jihadi, or leftist.
God, I fucking love that fat dumpster squirrel so much.
At the time of me recording this,
Well-
there's been a publish of his more or less manifesto. The individual
Yeah.
understands that he was probably going to die on this escapade. And that
And the funniest part is he didn't. This guy literally thought he was doing like a suicide mission. He's alive. He's fine. He's going to jail. Now, granted, he's probably going to be executed because he tried to kill the president, but he's alive for now anyway. And yes, I read his manifesto. No, I'm not going to read it on stream. I do find one thing very interesting regarding his manifesto. There is one thing that jumped out to me about it, is that he basically, this guy wanted to, kill everyone from the president on down, except Kash Patel. I found it very interesting that in his manifesto, he singled out Kash Patel as someone he did not want to end. I don't know why. His manifesto did not specify as to why, but it did specify him by name as someone that he was not going to go after. So I don't know. And for skin color, he is, in his manifesto, he says that he is half black, half white. So I have no idea if skin color makes any bit of fucking difference right now. Because he's like, I'm half black and half white, and he's also like a 31-year-old teacher from California. There's this whole thing was a shit show. The thing was a shit. Yeah, it'll matter to Buff. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's gonna matter to Buff more that he was a leftist from California. That's gonna matter more to Buff. But it's like the security at this event was a fucking joke. The Secret Service did its job to a degree. I've watched the video of this guy fucking Naruto running past, like 10 fucking security people? Like, just blitzing right past them, and every one of them, I watched the footage. Every one of them is, like, diving out of the way when, I'm sorry, you're Secret Service. You're supposed to be jumping in the way, not out of the way. Like, he went by, like, 3 or 4 of them that could literally just stuck their foot out and tripped them so he could have face planted. It's like, but by all accounts of the video footage that I saw, the guards had their guns out and on him by the time he ran by. Yeah, they should have had their guns out and on him before he ran by. See, the problem is, I watched the video footage, and one thing stuck out to me is that the posture of every single one of the security in there was very relaxed and complacent. Okay? That was something that I noticed. The way that they were carrying themselves in that video footage looked very complacent. And here's the problem. You're saying like they react insanely fast. Yeah, when you know what direction their guns were pointed when they first initially started opening fire? Their placement was across at one another while they were trying to get him as he was going past. So they could have actually been impacted themselves at the same time. Like, realistically, the minute they saw him start running, you should have had at least 1 or 2 of these guys take literally 1 or 2 steps to their left or their right to get directly in the path. And even if they couldn't get their guns up on time, they could have clotheslined the fuck out of the guy and dropped him right there before he got past him. That's the biggest problem that I have. Is by their postures, they seemed very complacent and not basically at a state of readiness. And that's the biggest issue. Yes, they did stop him well before he could even attempt to try and get close to the president. Credit where it's due, they did absolutely stop him before he even got close to the president. So I will still give them credit there. But the video footage, like the first point of contact that we saw there, I wasn't impressed with the way they carried themselves. Now, maybe there will be some experts, i.e., Rich, that may do that. I have no doubt that he is going to do something on this. But from my eyes of the single piece of video footage that we have seen thus far, that is the singular thing that really stands out to me in a negative regarding those people.
His primary targets, with the exception of Kash Patel, he explicitly stated that in there. That his targets were members of the Trump administration, starting from the top down, citing that he could no longer be complicit in supporting a violent pedophile, monster, whatever, in charge.
And by the way, before you ask, yes, I did see the 60 Minutes interview where they interviewed Trump about this, and the reporter basically tried to bring up the manifesto, and Trump basically just verbally bitch slapped her. Yes, I saw it. And the only thing I could think of is, how are you people going to be this fucking stupid that you are literally giving the guy that you don't like all the ammunition he needs to justify being an absolute cunt to you? Like, the reporter for 60 Minutes, was sitting down and was talking about the manifesto and basically, reading from it and basically saying, the accusations of him being a rapist. And it's like, really, you're going to actually just give him everything he needs to fully justify him being a complete dickhead to you? Because, I have an issue with Trump's attitude writ large. I think he is an asshole. I have not been shy about that. But watching that interview, I with his clapback, I was like, you know what? He's perfectly justified in ripping that journalist apart and calling her a cunt without actually using the C word on camera. He's an asshole, but during this interview, I'm like, okay, I get why he's being an asshole to her. The way she's going on, the way she's bringing up the manifesto and bringing up all this shit, I get it. In this case, this is one of those times where you literally just gave him permission to be a complete asshole, and it's justified. Now, good fucking job. You now look like the asshole, and nobody fucking cares what you as a reporter has to say, because it's clear you were trying to do some kind of a trip him up and do a gotcha, and it backfired on you in the most spectacular way. And in this case, God bless him for being a complete asshole to this woman. I'm just watching this going, yeah, you know what? This time, justified. Go fucking off.
And here's what I want people to understand.
That these individuals are sick and fucking stupid?
Well, yes, but I plan on saying it significantly more eloquent than that.
Why?
Look, I don't agree with everything the President of the United States does. I didn't agree with everything President Biden did. I didn't agree with everything President Obama did or President Bush. But here's the thing. You got to understand that the mainstream media really just cares about clicks. They want you to be upset so that you continue reading. They want you to just pay attention to everything that they have to say. And I'm kind of in an impasse here. On one hand, I do genuinely believe that some of the headlines and awful things that are said about this administration, previous administration, and other people out there is quite radicalizing. However, there's no way that I can think of to rectify this without infringing on the freedom of press, which is the absolute last thing that I want to do.
Oh, boy. I have a feeling Kirsche would have a good counter. Kirsche, because granted, I'm not as eloquent and as well read in on this matter as she is, so I'm not even going to attempt to try and formulate some kind of argument like she might have. But I do know, she had this discussion with Phoenix on Side Scrolls before, because Phoenix is very staunchly First Amendment, believes that everybody should have, their freedom of speech. And Kirsche, I do not want to butcher her argument, so I'm not going to try and even paraphrase it. But basically, Kirsche was saying that freedom, that blanket freedom of speech, in its current, the way it's being handled these days is basically she has an argument. not for the removal of freedom of speech, but again, I do not wish to misquote her, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But it basically, she was basically like saying that like just blanket freedom of speech where you can say literally whatever the fuck you want, it is not right because it leads to basically issues of what we're seeing right now. It's why, it's blanket freedom of speech where you literally can say any of the fucking thing you want and you can't be in trouble for it is effectively speaking why we're seeing literal pro-communist marches in cities like New York. It's why you're seeing the extreme radicalization of communism and Islam in the United States as a direct opponent against the United States in and of itself. It's because of that just gross blanket, say whatever the fuck you want. You're protected by freedom of speech. That is leading to this. It's why you see people like Hassan that can scream about slaughtering capitalists, killing government officials, which, make no fucking mistake, is indoctrinating people to facilitate crimes like what we are seeing with what happened at the correspondence dinner. It's people being able to spew that kind of rhetoric under the auspice of freedom of speech that is basically creating an insurrection within the country. And like, I'm not going to even pretend I'm a smart enough person to come up with a solution. I'm not even going to pretend that I am well-read enough or that I'm smart enough that I can say, this is what we need to do. I can recognize an issue. What are we going to do about it? I legit don't fucking know. I legit don't. Yeah, calls for... Well, it's not... I realize that calls for violence are not protected under First Amendment. I'm very well aware of that. And yes, you're right. There has not been anywhere near enough arrests. That's one thing. That's one crucial thing there, is that there needs to start being fucking arrests for people. Yeah, the DOJ refuses to prosecute them. Cool, replace the DOJ. That's part of it, is that there has been an extreme lack of consequence for people that do it. And that's a fault of the government for not actually pursuing consequences. At 100%. Is we are seeing violent rhetoric online. Like all these fucking TikToks that are out there right now that are basically saying, that are like, like bemoaning why didn't Trump get killed by this assassin? There's probably thousands upon thousands of fucking brain dead TikTokers that are moaning about, too bad that they missed again. And people are going, can someone please just go kill Trump already? And I'm sorry, those people need to start getting arrested. Okay? You get these people on TikTok that are just going, can you please stop missing and kill Trump already? They need to get arrested. They every fucking one of them, you need to start putting it in the box. Because the problem, here's the issue, is that because nothing happens to them, they are now conditioned that they don't fucking care. And they are so used to living life through a fucking computer or phone screen that they don't actually suffer consequences, so they're going to keep doing it. They don't even know what they're asking. They treat human life like it's a fucking TV show. At this point, like all these people that are saying like, why can't you, all these people that are saying like, well, geez, why can't you just kill Trump already? Is they don't actually live in reality. They're getting bolder because because they have not suffered consequences for literally calling for the death of someone. That's number one. But number two, they don't even understand the reality of it. To them, they're living their lives through a computer screen, through a phone screen. And so then it basically holds the same amount of weight as watching a TV show. This is the fucking disconnect that we're seeing these days, is that these people don't even understand, they don't value human life anymore, because to them, human life, regardless of whose life it is, holds the same value to them as a character on a television show. And they don't fucking care. And so they'll just happily say, yeah, go ahead and end this person's life, end that person's life. Because to them, they're not a human being. They're a fictional character on a screen. And that's all they are to them. And because that they don't appreciate the reality of what they are championing. See, if you actually put them into a situation, if you actually put them like in person, in a situation, okay, let's do a hypothetical. Put them in that room, in the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Okay, put them in that room when that gunman came charging in and started firing rounds. He got like one or two shots off with his shotgun at a Secret Service agent. Thankfully, the Secret Service agent's vest did its job, kept it from being fatal, and probably suffered bruising, of course, but fortunately, the vest saved the Secret Service agent's life. Take any one of these fucking TikTokers, put them in that room, they would piss themselves when reality actually came knocking. But because they've never been in that situation, because they don't even acknowledge what the reality of that situation is, and they are only viewing it as like some kind of a fictional story that they're seeing through their screens, they very happily will call for the deaths of political figures or people that they don't like. And since obviously I don't want them to lose their lives, because the parallel would be, okay, put them in the receiving end where they're getting shot at. No, I don't want that to happen to them. But because it's very unlikely that that's going to happen to them, they need to start actually suffering consequences. They need to realize that calling for the death of someone needs to actually buck you up. They need to spend time in the box. They need to lose their freedom. They need to understand that calling for the death of someone results in the loss of their freedom. That the First Amendment does not protect it, because they're all probably going to scream, oh, First Amendment, I can say whatever the fuck I want, when they don't actually understand constitutional law in the first place. So they need to actually start losing the freedom, at least temporarily. And until these people start getting hooked up, start getting arrested, start getting put into the box, nothing's going to change. And you can make the argument of, well, there's just so many, it can't be done. Sure, it can. You know what? Then you know what? You create a special create a special federal law enforcement agency specifically to deal with online crime. And and then DHS can easily figure out who the fuck they are. You start taking these people that are happily making death threats, and you put him in the box. Yeah, the courts take years to prosecute. Cool. So they can pay for it. They can pay for the lawyer to represent them for those years it takes the courts to prosecute them. They can take time out of their day having to go to court to make a court appearance every couple of months or every couple of weeks while the court takes years to prosecute them. They let them suffer consequences. Let them suffer the consequence of getting put in cuffs, getting put in the back of a police vehicle, getting put into a jail cell, getting processed. So now that's on their permanent record. Let them start feeling consequences for going online and saying, go kill the president. Until they actually start feeling consequences, it's going to keep going and it's going to get worse. And you're going to see escalations from just saying it to more people actually trying to do it. President Trump has had 3 assassination attempts over the course of his career. I'm pretty sure that is the most amount of assassination attempts of any president in history. Now, granted, Nick might prove me wrong on that one, but to my limited knowledge of presidential assassinations, Trump has had the most amount of assassinations in presidential history. That should fucking terrify everybody, because it means that the country is now become very comfortable with political violence against the highest office in the land. That should fucking terrify everyone. Because if they have no problem, if these kinds of people have no problem going after the president multiple fucking times, how long do you think it's going to be before they go after you, the private citizen, for the same fucking thing, and you don't have an army of law enforcement and Secret Service to protect you? This should be absolutely fucking terrifying for you. The moment people have started to become comfortable with going after the most powerful man in the country, what fucking chance do you have if they set your sights on you?
So I think that if you're in one of these positions and you end up thinking that you have an obligation to kill somebody because you disagree with the person that they are or the decisions that they've made, seek help, because that's not something a rational, logical individual would do. Now, you're going to have those that say it's staged and it's fake and so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, they've already started.
Look, I worked for the government for a long time. Oftentimes things that people say are fake and staged are so much easier to just...
There you have Charlie Kirk was a private citizen. Counterpoint, he was a private citizen, but he was a very prolific private citizen. What I'm talking about is all of you and me, the Joe and Jane Blows, that are not prolific, that might have our own private security, and are just going about our lives, and we say the wrong thing, we have the wrong fucking opinion, someone pulls out a gun and shoots you because you have the wrong opinion. Like, that is a terrifying thought, and that is, like, kind of where things are starting to go, which is terrifying. Yeah, he was a prominent public figure. Charlie Kirk was a prominent public figure. He was.
Believe, and they're so much easier to, like, realize that they're true. The government doesn't fake nearly as much as you think they do. And the government doesn't watch people like you think they do. The vast majority of Americans are not important enough for the government to pay attention to. Trust me. They can, they just don't. You're going to have crazies no matter who is in charge. I will say that President Obama had a couple of different threats on his life, actually various threats on his life. The only significant one is when a guy in 2011 shot bullets at the White House itself.
Yeah, I vaguely remember hearing about that.
This is the third time in basically 4.5 years in the seat that a gunman has tried to kill the president. That's, at what point do we realize it's a pattern?
Oh shit, it was a black guy. I didn't see that one coming. I mean, I could make so many jokes here, but I feel like all of them would get me canceled right now. And by me, I mean HLC.
Oh, a black dude? Oh, shit. Franklin, the possum takes the pot, dude. You gotta pay up. Look. I don't think that he hired the guy just so he could win the bet.
God.
You scare me sometimes.
Franklin! Holy cow. Oh my. Sexy Jarhead, thank you for the 10 gifted. I'm sorry, I was just fucking rolling on that one and thank you. Wow, that was insane. Oh boy, I did not think I was going to go that far into the weeds with this one, but it's kind of where we're at on this shit now. It is. Yeah, good solid hour on that one. I'd say probably more. But you know what? There were some things that needed to be talked about. And we're going to talk about them. And we did.